Well, here we go. Hello, everybody. I'm Brett Tippie, and this is Rémy Métailler on the Brett Tippie podcast. I think it's pronounced Rémy Métailler, if I'm correct. Is that
Yeah,
you?
that's me. Yeah, you got the pronunciation pretty good, Brett.
Is it good?
It's pretty good for a Canadian.
Yeah. How do you say it properly? Let's say. How do you say your name exactly right?
Métailler.
Métailler. Oh, I was almost bang on.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
What is in a métailler? What does it mean?
I think that back in the day, métailler were people working with metal,
Okay. All right.
but I'm not exactly sure. We don't really know
Yeah.
what's up from
Yeah. All right.
back
Well,
in
say
the
hi.
day.
Say hi, everybody.
Hi everybody. Thanks for
Awesome.
watching that podcast, and yeah, hope you enjoy it.
Well, you're still a man working with metal, but some carbon fiber now. So your job is riding bikes. You're a professional free rider. For those that don't know Remy, people who've been hiding underneath a rock or whatnot, and you're paid to ride bikes and to make cool content, and you're doing quite well at it. How is life as a pro mountain biker?
I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, I guess you know pretty good because you've been doing it for like 8 years or something like that. But
80 years.
no, it's been really good. Yeah, things have been really good, and it's going well with sponsors, and people like what I'm doing. So everyone seems to be happy, and yeah, that makes me happy, and we keep on going.
That's awesome. Now I remember when you first came over to come to BC. I think it was 2013, and I didn't know you, but I interviewed you just as a random person in one of my shows, Just the Tip, that I was doing for Pink Bike back then at the Vancouver Bike Show, and I interviewed you, and you said, "Yeah, hi, I'm stoked to be here, and I'm gonna ride the Whistler Bike Park a lot," and I was like, "Oh, cool. And where are you from?" And you're like, "From France." And I'm like, "Oh, do you know my friend Pierre?" And you looked at me like, "Oh," and then you went with it. You're like, "Oh, yeah, I know Pierre." But since then, you have ridden the bike park a lot, and you've gone on and ridden a lot of trails. And what was it like coming over here? Fresh from France and riding in BC.
So I remember we met at the Vancouver Bike Show, which was I think last weekend of February, and I think I got in Canada the 22nd of February. So that was like I was like 3 or 4 days fresh in Canada,
Yeah,
and I hadn't ridden a bike in Canada yet, but I was all excited, to go and check out Vancouver, and yeah, after that I got to Whistler, I guess May 15th, whenever it opened, and I think I've ridden that year 113 days or 111 days.
oh
And I
man.
believe at the record of the biggest number of laps ever done in Whistler that year.
More than Adam?
Oh yeah, more than Adam, yeah. Yeah,
Oh
because
wow.
he's got 1 million of vertical. I
Yeah.
think 1 million feet of vertical. I think I was at 1.4 million or something like that.
Oh man, that's a lot of laps. I wonder how many
Yeah,
tires you went through that season.
a lot. And you know what sucked is that at the time I was paying for tires.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
But yeah,
Oh,
that was good times.
and calluses on the hands and I guess yeah, it's still.
Did pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, totally. Cool. So your background in mountain biking came from where? Like where did you start riding? Who got you into riding? And what was your first bike? Tell us about riding as a little boy, a little Remy in France.
Well, so the sport of mountain biking and downhill was really popular when I grew up because we had Nicolas Vouilloz, 10-time world champion, bicycling, 50 kilometers from where I live. And then we had Fabien Barrel. And the sport, like downhill racing, is actually born in the south of France. Like not mountain biking, but the actual racing format of downhill is born where I'm from, just like enduro mountain biking. And I guess, media, newspaper were talking a lot about it at the time. And so I've always wanted to do it. My dad was mountain biking, but very, very recreational, never really competed or anything like that. And I guess I also, on the news, I saw, Nicolas Vouilloz and those guys going like really fast on tracks. And I was like, well, I want to be doing that. But my dad was like, well, do you see the price of the bikes? So it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen for a while. So I guess my first proper bike was my mom's old bike, which was a specialized hard rock size.
Your mom's bike?
My mom's old bike, yeah.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make it a trials bike. So one day I removed the second and the third gear on the fronts, and I turned it into like almost like a trials mountain bike. And yeah, from there I never stopped.
Well, it's rocky down in the south of France. You know, it's like there's solid bedrock and then there's loose rock and whatnot. So, you know, it's kind of hard to ride that terrain without a good bike. But whatever
Well,
you ride, whatever you got, right?
it's hard because the trails are like, they're more like hiking trails. They're not like mountain bike specific like we have here. It's difficult, but I guess that makes you a better rider because you have to ride shitty trails.
Yeah.
So in order to ride shitty trails, you basically got to become better at mountain biking. It's not just, nice jumps and berms like you have in the Whistler bike park. So
Yeah.
teaches you like, good technique.
Yeah. So, did you do any racing there, or were you just riding for fun and free riding, or like?
Well, just riding I started properly riding when I was, I guess, 15 or 16 years old. That's when I got my first free ride bike, and I would just do jumps. I'll go to bike parks like 4 or 5 times a year. And then I think when I was 18 years old, I joined the club of the US Sky, which was run by Loic Bruni and Loris Vergier's dad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so Loic Bruni was there, Loris Vergier. That was at the time they were probably, because they're a bit younger than I am, so they're probably like 14 years old, and they were already getting really, really fast. And so I guess I joined the club. Johan Barelli was part of the club too. So it's a pretty cool club, and I did like 2 years maybe of going to races, but I'll do like very local races, like basically the equivalent of BC Cup, and that was fun. And at the same time I studied, but I was like, once I'm done studying, I'd like to do 1 year in Canada. So that's exactly what happened. And in 2013 I had a 1 year working holiday visa, and I moved to Vancouver and Whistler.
So you came for 1 year and you're still here.
Yeah, they haven't kicked me out yet.
That's amazing. Oh, cool. So those guys inspired you, the racers, and you're like riding in France, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to do BC. And then you did a million laps, a million vertical, 1.4 million vertical, I guess, at Whistler. Who inspired you to start making movies and free riding and doing gnarly lines? Like, where did that all come from?
Well, so back in France, because I've done an international business and marketing school, like marketing was something that I studied and that I enjoyed. And so back in France, like before coming to Canada, I think the 2 last years I spent in France, I was trying to get like some local support. So at like the shop level. So basically what we call co-factory, which is basically like, cost on a bike. So I was trying to get that. And in order to get that, one of my buddy was doing videos. And so we did like a couple of, little riding I did together. That was, that helped me to get that. And also before leaving France, what I did was my buddy for school did that project with me where we filmed, enduro, downhill, some free riding, some cross-country riding, some BMX riding, like a bit of everything. And we tried to make it, super professional and nice looking. And so when I came to Canada, I had done that before, and I had the opportunity to film with Chris Ritchie in the bike park, which at the time he was starting his career as a filmmaker guy. And after a few weeks or a couple of months in the bike park, like people started to notice that I was going, quite fast and doing some jumps. And so I got the opportunity to shoot with him. So we've done a video, a film with another guy as well. And yeah, I was like, you know what, maybe I could do something with it. So I put some effort into it, and I got very lucky that people liked the video, because, hundreds of people every year do a Whistler video, right? So it's really hard to stand up.
So many.
So that's how it happened.
All right. So like you were doing like like the jump trails and you've got some good style and you're scrubbing stuff, but then you started doing some like some creative gaps and whatnot, and I believe you started hashtag the Remy line, which might have maybe come later, but you were doing the classic dirt merchants and A lines, of course, with a nice jump start, but doing various little gaps here and there, and trying to look at them out a little more creatively. And I think that's why your video stood out from the others. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think that's what made them different. But I actually, like, I basically, I remember, well, the video of the Whistler Bike Park that I remembered was the one from other rider doing gaps, even though I didn't even know the trail, because I realized that everybody was talking about, you know, my one of my buddy when I came to Canada um, was telling me when the first time he showed me the bike park, he stopped at a few gaps and he's like, oh, this is the gap of Kenny Smith, and this is the gap of Elliot Jackson or whoever. And so I was like looking at those gaps, and I noticed that people were, you know, showing a lot of respect for some of the lines. And then going by, I was like, I feel I can write that. And then I would, try to find gaps and lines, and I realized that some people hadn't done stuff, and that I could do it. And so that's kind of how everything is born. And
Yeah.
now that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Now, you're hauling in some of those videos, and some people have accused you and others of speeding up videos. And I'm like, he wouldn't do that. But,
That's
what
the
do you
best.
say?
That's the best compliment.
It is a compliment, right? Like, you're like, yeah, right.
So yeah. I mean, obviously it's the way it's filmed, and we don't use clips where I go slow. Like the idea of the video is that it has to make me look good, right? So we chose the clips that you know were making me look the fastest or the best on the bike. But it's pretty funny that some people had this to say, but like I took that as a compliment, really.
Yeah. Now, part of the secret is, of movie making is making it look good. And I know from years of filming and whatnot, some angles look good, and you can do the same line, the same speed, but some angles make it look different. What were some of your secrets that make things look good, or equal to what they actually are?
It's this is a lot of stuff that's like tough to film. When it's like slippery and technical, it's not really easy, and a lot of time like it's actually super greasy, and you can't really show it in video. To show the size of a jump, like with a wide angle, it's usually what makes it look the biggest. Or if you follow, with a wide angle, like super fast when the rider goes by. But I personally I like when it's the most representative of the reality. It's like I take a lot of risk. I don't want people to think that the clip is cool because of the camera work. I
Yeah.
want them to think that the clip is cool because I actually go fast.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
the
Interesting.
best tip is to go fast.
Yeah. No, because I remember like some of the times, you'd film something and then you see it and you're like, that was actually really gnarly, but it doesn't show that way. And then sometimes you do something that's, all right, but then it looks gnarlier than it really is. And, what we did back like in
Yeah.
the crank days is like the opposing wall. Like if you film across from something, you're filming that way, then it looks steeper, right? So you try and get angles like that complement it, or actually, make it look as gnarly as it is, or gnarlier than it is, which is actually really hard to do. But it's all about that angle to try and make it look, you know, as equally gnarly as it is, which is challenging. So yeah, it's it's a cooperation between the filmmaker and the rider to make a good product, and that's part of the secret too, eh?
Yeah, it's teamwork.
Yeah. I remember I always would, I get made fun of for it, for like, instead of going, okay, drop in and then drop it, sometimes it's windy or the cameraman's, his clothes are rustling or something and they miss the shot because they didn't hear you. And so instead of just going, drop in or doing a 3, 2, 1, I would do like a 5, 4, 3, and I'd count down quite early to make sure that they could hear you. And then you have more chances of them knowing that you're dropping if you're out of sight from where you come in to get your speed or if it's steep or whatnot. And then people would be like, yeah, Tippie, 15, 14. And so that was kind of my thing, is like that countdown was my mental gear to get ready to do something, but also to make sure that the rider or the film guy did not miss the shot. And then I was telling this to Bender, and I was noticing, like, I filmed the jaw drop when he did the jaw drop with my little Sony Handycam for Derek Wetzel and
Oh,
for
no
me
way.
shorter. Yeah, that's my footage from the side. And he had a power word before he did something gnarly, and his power word was loopy loo. That's what he did right before he did something that got him psyched, and that was his power word, loopy loo. Do you have a power word?
Baguettes.
You say baguette?
I like to take the piece out of the filmer, and so I go 3, 2, 1, baguettes.
No kidding.
And actually, the first time I met Bender, I wasn't expecting him to be this tall.
Yeah, he's shorter than Richie Schleck.
Yeah, I know, and me.
Yeah. Well, you know what? At least those guys don't look down on anybody. They're the last one to know it's raining. You know, on one of my first film shoots with Richie, we were in Turkey filming for Crank 3, and I saw someone tried to pickpocket him. I don't know how anyone could stoop so low. So you met Bender. Where'd you meet Bender?
I met him for the first time at Rampage.
Ah, okay. Nice.
And when I saw he was one of the judges, I was like, oh man, I'm the absolute opposite of him. Because I'm like super calculated. I don't do something if I'm not 100% sure I got it. And when I saw he was the judge, I was like, well, I'm done. I'll never qualify because we are the absolute opposites. And he actually came to me, and he was probably the judge that liked the most my style and my approach to Rampage. He probably liked it more than any other judge. Just pretty funny.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Thank you, Josh, if you see that.
Now, you've done Rampage 3 times, and I think your top result is 10th place. You cracked the top 10, you got invited back. You got, what, like a 10th, a 12th, and something?
4 times.
Oh, but you couldn't make it the one time because you got stopped at the borders.
Yes.
In 2017, was it?
Yeah, I didn't make it to the border, but I managed to come back 6 months later. And so I've done my own Rampage, and I rode the same top to bottoms than I would have done during the events.
Is that the one I helped you do the audio for?
Exactly.
Yeah, I did.
And so I rode by myself. I did 2 top to bottom by myself on a windy day, and it was actually pouring rain.
Oh man, yeah.
And I remember when I came back from Utah, we were on our way to the Chamber Awards from the Whistler Chamber of Commerce, because you were nominated. I believe you were nominated as Personality of the Year. And so you stopped by my place in Whistler.
That's right.
To make the voiceover for that video. Yeah.
I was Chamber of Commerce, People's Choice Favorite Local of the Year in Whistler.
Exactly.
And they haven't had the contest since, so I'm still the reigning People's Choice Favorite Local. So that was like a bummer that you couldn't go. What happened at the border? Why couldn't you go? Did you tell them that you were going to compete, and then they said, okay, you're a professional rider, or what happened there? Why they turned you back at the border and you couldn't do it?
I think what happened is that some other rider went before me, like, a few hours before me, and started to alert the border. I believe Joe Dillon went down before me. Berklow went down before me, and a few other guys from Canada went down before me. And I think the border patrol were like, something's going on with all those pro mountain bikers going to the border, and I got the one that got stopped. But when you read the immigration law, you do not need an athlete visa or a work visa to go and compete to an event like Rampage, because you only get paid for prize money. It's exactly the same as going to Vegas and going to the casino. You don't know that you're gonna win anything. You're going there, you might lose, you might make $0, or you might make money.
Yeah.
I got stopped for, and once the guy tells you can't go, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
You can go with a lawyer, like there's nothing. And so I had to go, and so I basically lost. So because being French with my passport, I've got what's called a travel authorization to go to the US, but they denied that for life. So now I need to get an actual visa to go to the States.
Because you were denied access that one time.
But I got denied that. So now I'm red flagged. So every time I go to the US, I get pulled over.
Oh.
They ask me a ton of questions, and it's such a pain. Like that really doesn't make me want to go back. Down there, just because the process to cross the border is just a nightmare, and it's unfair because I've done nothing wrong. I was in my complete right, and it's just one guy that decided to put that on my file, and you can't get rid of it.
Yes. Yeah.
The only way I could potentially get rid of it is I could apply for an athlete visa, but I refuse to pay an athlete visa and go through the process because I don't need one. And since I've managed to go to the US, it's just a bit tricky, but I can go. The only way I think is when I'm gonna become Canadian citizen, instead of showing my French passport, I'll show my Canadian passport. And I don't know if that's gonna remove my history at the border, but because it's gonna be a new passport, I'm not sure if that's, because I already have a new passport. I renewed my passport and purposely just to see, but obviously that stick with my passport number. But if I get a passport from a different country, might be easier.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you that when I get my citizenship.
Yeah. Well, that's a bummer because you're ready to go and compete. You're ready. You're mentally ready. You're physically ready, and then you couldn't do your fourth rampage. Like you did go back later and do your line and everything. So as a mountain biker, heart and soul, you went and did what you meant to do, but you couldn't actually compete in the contest, and that's a bummer. I know I watched you when you did your rampages, and you did your lines really fast, which is what a lot of people liked. I saw in the comments people dig that, and and saw you get 10th, and it was your best result, I think. But it's gnarly. I saw you did a no-hander over the big canyon gap, which must have been, I don't know how big was that, 70, 68, 70 feet or something?
It was 78 feet.
How big?
78 feet.
Oh wow, okay, bigger than I thought. Yeah, and you did a big Sui no-hander over it, which was super rad. I think Ali DeLillo has a rad shot of you looking like a little speck in there over this canyon gap, and yeah. Tell us about your experience at Rampage when you did compete and in your first Rampage when you were there.
Well, so I got invited, and at the time I didn't realize how big of a deal it was, because it was still at the time where you had to qualify once you got there.
Yeah, that's right.
Last year where you had to qualify, so we're 40 guys going there, but so I got invited. And I was filming a bike park edit where I was putting like a lot of effort, and doing one of the jumps, end of the day, I think I hyperextended my leg, and I must have damaged my menisc. So my knee got bigger, and I thought I was gonna cancel the trip. And just because I was like, there's no way I can ride. And so my girlfriend had planned the trip at the time, and she was like, no, we should still go. And I was like, there's no way I can ride. So anyway, we went down there, and you don't ride your bike until like basically 6 or 7 days after you get there. So I had some time, 2 days of driving, and then 5 or 6 days before you even touch a bike. So I didn't get to ride anything at all before Rampage. I could not warm up on any line. I could not do any drops or anything like that because of my knee. So we built that line, and the entire time I was like, what am I doing here? Like, I don't belong here, because I know I can ride the line and I know I can do the jump, but I'm not going to do any tricks. And then during practice, started to feel pretty good. The canyon gap was obviously the big scary thing, but once I had done it, I felt I could do it every day. Like it was, once I'd done it, I had no pressure doing it. It was fine every time.
You had the speed going into it dialed, because some guys cased it, some guys went too far, and
yeah, once I got the speed, like coming from the side I was coming, was like pretty. You could not really mess up the speed. You could go too slow if you are making a mistake, but I guess you will have time to figure out and you could stop before the jump. If you are going for it, like unless you're getting like a freak mechanical or something like that, it was pretty safe. It's not a jump I would have opened myself. Like I would not have gone first. But yeah, once I've done that, the more I was running, the more comfortable I was. My knee was still bothering me, but it was okay. I guess you can see in the video, like I don't put too much weight on my right leg. I kind of like land too much on my left. But yeah, after that, it was all game on, and yeah, I felt really good. But I've actually never been to Rampage and put down a run that I was proud of.
What?
That's why I want to go back, because I've never ridden a way where I was proud of myself. Like I know I can do better. I know I can ride faster. I know I can ride smoother. And what happened is that I didn't have much experience building, and I felt every single year I went, my line was not properly built. So I was not very confident, was not very comfortable on the bike. You know, I got my bikes late every time because it was a new frame, and I didn't have the time to get there before the event. So I'll get there, and the first thing I'll ride will be my line. I will not have any warm-up, you know, riding King Kong and those trails like the other guys do. So I feel like I've always poorly managed, you know, my Rampage entry.
Yeah.
That's why I'm hungry and I want to go back.
You're still hungry. So what do you have to do to get back? You have to make a video, or they have to vote you in, and you have to.
It's mostly video submission.
Yeah.
So you got to submit a video, and you got a panel of judges who decide, you know, if you Rampage material or not.
Yeah. Oh boy. Well, you got some unfinished business to do.
But you know what? Like I'll go back to Utah regardless, and I'll do my own Rampage at some point.
Yeah.
Where, you know, I take up a mountain and I go top to bottom, riding like my own style, even if it's outside of the event, like exactly the way I would like to ride. So like more slow technical, some fast section, like a bit of everything, but less, you know, less manicure, like more raw.
Yeah. Yeah, because when you went down first, like you were allowed, I think you were allowed mechanical tools back then, were you not? Like everybody was. And now it's back to like only like hand tools.
Sorry?
Like back then, now you're allowed only hand tools and some sandbags, but for a while there, they were allowing mechanicals, and people were showing up with jackhammers and.
I think like you are not supposed to, but some guys did it.
Yeah.
I think 2015 is the year where everything started to change, and you had to respect, like the rules got stricter, and it's just because even now, like, you know, some of the top guys, they can get the best builder in the world, and that makes a huge difference. Yeah. You know, when you see some guys, their digger are like obviously awesome riders, but like they are the world best at digging. And so if you look at, you know, Brett Reader, Semenok, every single feature their team builds is absolutely perfect first try. Like Brett Reader's drop is like, you look at it and you're like, this is perfect. You know it's gonna work. Obviously they're extremely knowledgeable, but like it's the feature itself is perfect. Yeah. So as a rider, like the extra confidence that gives you to know that your team did an awesome job, it's pretty big advantage.
Yeah. I liked Dorfling, and his line was like as raw as possible, and I you know, as an old schooler, I dig that.
My style as well. That's what I'd like to do.
Yeah. Oh wow. One of the guys just sent me an Instagram message for you, a question for you. What's the biggest you've ever gone? What's the biggest jump you've ever done?
It's probably that jump at that canyon gap at Rampage.
Yeah, 78 feet. You said.
Yeah. It's basically, I think 80 feet to the landing.
Yeah. When you did the biggest jump of your life, a 78-foot canyon gap, when did you decide to do a no-hander over it?
I think no-hander to me is, you know, not any harder than doing the jump itself. Once I know the speed, once I know I have the speed for the jump, taking my hands off is not a problem. You just need to plan it, because you do it on the takeoff itself. But once, like, as soon as I saw the jump, I was like, if I'm able to jump it, I'll be able to do a no-ender.
Yeah, and it worked perfectly.
So, yeah, it was pretty good. I wish I'd done it better, but you know how it is.
Yeah, totally.
It's only 2 runs, right?
Now, what's it like with the politics down there? I remember hearing a little bit of a squabble where you had your line planned, but then in case the wind came up, you were going for a secondary line, and you had done like 45 minutes digging on someone else's line, and you're asking if you could use that line in case the wind came up as your secondary line, and they're like, no. And you're like, but I did 45 minutes digging. And they go, it's not enough. We worked hours on this. And then there was kind of a battle, and then you ended up just doing your own line anyways, but you were trying to have a secondary wind line, which I thought was, as a good
Yeah,
competitor.
that's what happened, I think, in 2018, which is the last time I went there.
Yeah.
It's yeah. Yeah, whatever. It's whatever. It's I think like it's super competitive, and it was like just a safe move. Like I would have no problem with someone else taking my line in case it's windy and they can do their big drop and they have to go around take my line. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
Would wear I would way rather see someone using part of my line just to get on safely instead of getting hurt on their line because it was too wind exposed or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's how it is.
There was a lot of people in Rampage back then, so I think there was a lot of people, being territorial about their lines and whatnot, and there's also the friendly free ride vibe of everyone wishing each other well, but there's also, contracts on the line and bragging points and stuff. So there's also that competitivism and that territorialism over people's lines. What's that like balancing that out when you're in a scene with that with like a whole bunch of gnarly riders?
Yeah, and I guess that's why in 16, 17, and 18, I tried to do my thing. I didn't want to have to fight with anybody. Like I wanted to have as much as possible my own line. So it's just up to me. It's my line. I do whatever I want, and that's it. And I guess I became the same way where, if someone wants to use my line, I'm not gonna be friendly about it because in the past people haven't been friendly with me on that. So, and that sucks, but that's how it is at
Yeah,
Rampage.
that's part of the game, I guess, eh? And then now there's less riders, so there's not as much people stepping on each other's toes, and it's easier to find your own line because there's only so much real estate, and with less riders it makes it easier. But back then there was so many riders in Rampage more than ever before, so of course it was going to be a bit of a scene.
And I guess that was the second year. That was the second year on the same site. So I basically ended up riding a line that I didn't really like, just because that was basically the only thing that was available.
Yeah.
So I was taking part of Geoff Gulevic's line at the top, I think, and then I made my own line towards the bottom.
Yeah. Now, when you're there, you're doing your own thing, you're filming your own line, and you don't really get to see a lot of the other stuff, but of course you still look around and see what are some of the gnarly things that you've seen with your own eyes that you just went, whoa, that was sick. What stuff behind the scenes blew you away?
I guess so. Like it's funny, but like for example, Brendan Fairclough's line in 2018 and 2019, people were raving about it, but that's the kind of riding where I'm good at. So me, that didn't really impress me much because well, obviously it's impressive and he rode it well. But if I had to pick a line, I would ride his line. To me, his line was the easiest one for me because that matches my riding. Slow, technical, braking control. Whereas some things that I will not have been comfortable doing is usually the big jumps. So I don't like doing the kind of jumps where if you miss, you might die. It's not really for me.
Yeah.
I prefer to rely on my skills to get down the mountain, rather than just sending like an absolute massive drop. And one of the things, like I know I can do those big jumps, but there's one thing you don't control, it's the wind.
Yeah.
And I've never wanted at Rampage or anywhere, but especially at Rampage, when it's your time to go, if it's windy and you know that you have a jump that's like absolutely insane, if it's like you've no way out. if it's windy, either you don't drop or you might crash and get absolutely smashed.
Yeah, totally.
To me, that's a big thing. Like doing the big jump, I know I'm stable in the air. I know I'm strong on the landing. I'm not worried about that, but I'm worried about the wind, and I'm also worried about the testing, where when you guinea pig something, you can be confident and you can be skilled. There's always a way to make a mistake, and that can be really, really bad, especially on these jumps.
Yeah, totally. When you're dropping 40, 50, 60 feet, some of these things are bigger. How'd you set your bike up? Did you like crank the compression and crank it right up, or was it pretty much just a little bit of a
I
tweaker?
feel like every year at Rampage, like I put my bike stiffer than I thought. And like I always go much stiffer than I think. I get there, obviously I put it stiffer than usually. And then I go on the first jump. I usually warm up on my line on the easiest jump, right? Like I always start by the easiest stuff. And I bottom out on something that's not even big. And I'm like, man, gonna need to make it even stiffer.
Yeah, yeah,
So I usually go quite stiff.
yeah. And I know you're very particular about your tire pressure. Like you were like, what was it, 20, 23 and a half?
At,
but
at Rampage,
but you're way
well,
more
the
at
time
Rampage.
I had a different tire sponsor, but it was barely stiffer than my regular use. I was only a couple of psi more than what
Yeah,
I would normally do.
yeah,
Where some riders go like 10 psi more or something like that.
yeah. Like Claude cranks them so they're rock hard, so there's no like rap when he hits the takeoffs, and there's no
Exactly.
rolling and whatnot. And so he was like, they were like 30 something psi or whatnot, and like I think 38 or something crazy. And I
Yeah.
was like, what?
I
But he
think
goes, that's what I need to do.
I
And I'm like,
think
oh, okay.
Adolf Silva said he put 50 psi on it.
Oh my God. Really? That's insane. Wow. Well, everyone's different, right? So, teach their own. What PSI do you use for free riding in general? Like, say in Squamish, what is your PSI front and back?
It depends, like winter or summer, but in the summer, I'm usually like 18 or 19 psi front and like 20 to 21 psi back. And in the winter, like tomorrow, I'm gonna ride a new trail, and there's like some super sketchy, routes. I might go down to like 16 psi and 19 psi
Because it's wet right now too, and a little bit snowy.
just to be safe. Yeah,
Yeah. Wow.
yeah.
So,
I can go super low tire pressure. I think like my style of riding, I don't need to have my tires like super pumped up to hold on the corner. Like I can really adapt the riding, so I don't push too much when I'm low tire pressure.
yeah.
And I've actually never had my tire coming up the rim.
Not in any corners. You haven't rolled it off the rim.
No.
Yeah, that's cool. So, you used to live in Whistler. Now you're living in Squamish, and you've made some great Whistler bike park edits, and then you started doing some more recent stuff indicative where you live in Squamish, and then the last one, not the last one, but I mean, the one from last year that you blew people's minds with was kind of a greatest hits of a bunch of different trails in Squamish, and it's kind of a new page, a new chapter for you, riding and doing these free ride lines in Squamish. Tell us about this and the new place that you live in, filming and
Well,
shooting and riding in Squamish.
so basically, moved to Squamish in 2018, end of 2018. So it's been just over 2 years. And I was like, well, I can do all those gaps in the Whistler Bike Park, but after, 5 or 6 years, kind of got over it. Always the same. I have like a ton of fun riding, but finding new gaps is, if you want something that's gonna go viral, like it needs to be big, it needs to be dangerous, and I spent so much time riding the bike park that I kind of ran out of imagination. I have a few in mind that are doable, but I'm not sure I'm willing to take the risk to attempt them. And so yeah, started riding more in Squamish, and trail bikes got better. So I spent more time riding on my trail bikes. I was having more fun on the trail bikes than I used to because bikes are getting better. And I was like, seeing all those trails that people know and they haven't even ridden them yet. Like In and Out, Guranga. And so same than in Whistler, I would ride the trail and I was like, how come no one has jumped from here to here? And so I'll ask around, no one's done it. I was like, well, I'm gonna do it. And that's what I've been doing the last couple of years now, and just try to find lines. So same approach in the bike park, same trails that what everybody rides, and try to have like my own approach and my own line. And yes, that video last year was basically the mix of all the best line I could find in Squamish, and most of those lines were like, it's not something I built. It's like something that's like right there on the trail. It's just gapping from one rock to another or something like that. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, anyone can ride them, but it's up to them if they do those particular moves the way that you're doing them.
Yeah, that's basically it. And now I'm looking forward to do the same in, wherever I go, basically.
Yeah.
So if I go to Sedona next year, or if I go to, like, I don't know, in Quebec or in Spain or Madeira or wherever I go, like I'll try to, have that same approach and find new lines and be creative.
Yeah, that's cool. Now I know that you've had videos on Pink Bike, and various different websites forever, but you've really pushed and been working hard on your YouTube page, which has been getting shared on the websites. But you've got a nice kind of like a successful little formula where you're talking to the camera, and then you have sometimes a guest star, and you'll ride with various different riders and whatnot. And what I noticed is that you give a lot of credit, and you mentioned the trail builders, which is very cool and respectful. And you've been pounding out the edits with various different people in various different places, and it seems to be working for you. And your numbers have been rising, and social media and whatnot is a successful part of your whole shtick. As is any free rider these days, it's part of the whole game. Tell us about your approach to the social media and working on your numbers.
Well, it's tough because we all do the same, right? Like we all have as provider, we all have sponsors, and we got to keep the sponsor happy, and we need to create content, but we need to create content that people want to watch, obviously. And so that's why the YouTube video, I was like, that's a good way for me to be able to produce content while having fun on my bike, which was really important. I didn't want to burn out. And so I was like doing those trail previews and going and riding new trails with new guests is a good way for me to like keep being stoked about riding bikes and not feel like I'm doing the same always and always. So it's been good, and fortunately for me, like that worked out pretty good. And on social media now with Instagram and with an iPhone, like the stuff you can film with that is like it's pretty crazy, right? Like you got slow motion and you can zoom, and you got wide angle, you got everything you need. And so it's been pretty fun. Like I like to find all those lines and do some scrubs and get like some clips, and then you can just upload it at night on social media and people like to see it. And yeah, it's been pretty cool. So definitely been lucky that people have enjoyed watching the stuff I've been doing, which is the biggest thing, right? Because whatever I do, if people don't love it, it's not gonna work for me, right?
Yeah.
So it's been pretty awesome to see people like enjoying watching that stuff.
Now, have you been doing a lot of this editing yourself? Because you've got titles on there, and then you show some riding, and then you cut back to the little like the good spots, and then it's all spliced together quite well. So I know that you've used Chris Ritchie for years for different edits and whatnot, but are you editing some of these new ones yourself?
So I do everything that's like film 100% with the GoPro. I do everything myself. So I spend a lot of time like actually editing, and it's great, but it's a lot of work. And so now what I do is that I try like a couple of times a month to contract a filmer and to get a filmer to go and film me and the guests. And so that way, the quality is obviously better. It's always better, right? When you get someone else that's super knowledgeable and they know how to do their stuff, and it's just more efficient. Better quality for the guest and for myself, and overall people enjoy it more.
Yeah. Wow.
So and less time, it takes me less time, obviously, because I no longer have to edit. So
yeah,
it means more time to write.
Yeah. Well, which is always a win-win. Now, how much time are you putting into this? Like, like it seems like I was just watching, and every week you were coming up with another banger, and I'm like, wow, he's just hammering out the good content. Like, this is obviously a job, but you're taking it seriously. Like, how much time are you putting in this? How many hours a day are you giving her?
I wake up, I have my coffee, and like I spend my, just like you, I guess, like way too long on emails, because emails, it's like keeping sponsors updated, but it's also ordering products, organizing, shipments, organizing bike builds, organizing for sponsors, like, their new content or their new videos gonna come out to promote like a new product or a new release. All that is a lot of time. All the invoicing part, all the tax part, all the, like being organized, like even just having like a, Google Drive document for sponsor with like, all your photo and your video, everything organized. Like it's a lot of work. Then you need to train, which I haven't done enough lately, but normally I try and I go to the gym, just make sure, I'm strong, I'm fit, and I can limit injuries. And then you need to write, and then you need to film, and then you need to edit the video, and then you need to keep up with social media. Then you need to reply to all the comments and all the messages you get. And I don't know, I spend like, I'm working nonstop. Like I never stop.
Yeah. No, I
Like
get it.
so my girlfriend, like she always complains because I never stop. But I also love it, right? So the day where I don't love it anymore, I think I will stop.
Yeah, they say if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life, but it's
Yeah.
still work whether you love it or not. But it's just it's a passion. So it's something you love to do, and it doesn't seem like such hard work when you love it, but you still have to put in the hours, and you still got to do it right, and you got to keep the sponsors happy, and you're doing it.
Hopefully.
Now, how long do you think you can do this for? Your body's, like how's your health? How's your body right now for tenacity, and how long do you think you can keep this up?
No, but it's good. I mean, I feel that's the best I've ever been riding. So, to be fair, I started to make money from the bike industry in like 2014 was, very little. And then like 2015, it like really increased in 2015. Then I got to Rampage, then 2016. And then in 2016, end of 2016, I had a crash and I broke my back on T6. And the surgeon I saw in France told me that I probably won't be able to ride a bike anymore, like not professionally. So I was really scared. So I took my time for like, the recovery and stuff. And then as soon as I was able to do sport again, I didn't feel like anything that would slow me down. So I felt really good. So I kept on doing it. And then I went to Rampage a third time, the time where I got denied. But then I was super angry. And so I won my first urban downhill race. Then the next year I won my second urban downhill race. I went back to Rampage. And then I started the YouTube stuff. And so it's, kept on progressing every year. And 2020 was a great year for me, but 2021 should be better. So, I mean, in terms of sponsorship and stuff. So yeah, I'm not wanting to slow down anytime soon.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Still feel great and I still love it. So I'm gonna continue for as long as I can.
Yeah. Why not? Why not? Well, you bought a house. You're right at the bottom of the trails in Squamish, so that's a good thing. You're right smack dab in the center of a mountain bike mecca, and you're obviously loving what you're doing. People are loving what you're doing.
So yeah, can't complain. Definitely in a good position. Working too hard is not really a problem in that case.
Yeah. And you're riding through the winter. You're riding in the snow. I see you're doing some gnarly drops in the snow and whatnot. And um, I see Joanne Borelli was coming out and doing some of your lines, but not piecing it together quite together the way you did in the snow, which I thought was absolutely kind of nuts. But you made it happen. So
Well, you need to well up fast, Brad, because soon we're doing a video together.
Yes, yes. I know. I dislocated my elbow, so I don't think I'm ready for some Remy lines yet. But maybe. Um,
That's gonna be good. We go
you,
out there.
yeah, totally. Some old school, some new school. uh, um, Now, what other sports do you do? I know you ski, so you're not only riding the snow, but you're getting some skiing in too, eh?
So yeah, I ski, which is one of my hobby. And since I came to Canada, I do well. Since a few years now, I ride trials motorbike, which is really fun. It's like a mountain bike but scooter. No, it's really fun. It's really fun. Like you can basically ride that like a mountain bike. You can go anywhere, and it's fun downhill, but it's also fun uphill,
Yeah.
which is pretty unreal. And I ride a bit of enduro moto as well.
Okay.
I actually rode with Wade Simmons.
Oh, did you?
Uh,
On the
a
dirt
month.
bikes?
Yeah, Wade. He probably rides dirt bike like once or twice a week now,
Yeah. No, he says he's loving it,
and
and
he's good.
yeah, Wade's one of those guys who's good at everything. He's just except for frisbee. I don't
Like
think he's not that good at frisbee, but he's okay.
he's gonna get a new bike. When he's gonna get a new bike, his level is gonna go from here to like here.
Yeah, yeah. What's he on right now? An old KTM or something?
He's got a 2002 KTM,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like the bikes have progressed a lot. Like he's gonna be flying on a new bike.
Yeah. I know I was talking to him and he says that, he'll ride the shore and he says that there's not much that scares him anymore. Like he'll go for riding and he's got all the lines dialed and like even the gnarly ones he's got dialed and he doesn't really get a thrill. He doesn't crash that much anymore. He doesn't get thrilled like, oh, am I going to make this? He's just kind of like, yeah, he does the lines but he says he goes out on the dirt bike and he's like, he's gripped. He's got the pucker factor, he's like, and they're trying to make some climbs and he said his learning level is going up and up and it's got him charged to try something new and he loves mountain biking but he absolutely is kind of addicted to dirt biking right now so yeah it's cool to
Yeah,
see.
but it's important, to keep the balance, like to do something else on the side. Like if you just mountain bike and that's all you do, and in addition that's your job, you need to balance it out a bit.
Yeah, totally. I know I snowboard all the time. I in the winter like I love mountain biking and it's my life and I wouldn't say I get burnt out but I definitely go around the clock, riding in the day, riding the night, riding the day, riding the night all season long. And like you say, it's a job and I love it. But in the winter, I kind of unwind and I just snowboard my face off until, the new bikes are built for the year. And so that's my release and my kind of like my side passion from mountain biking is riding powder. So I get it. But I'd like to get a dirt bike again too, maybe ride with you
I know
guys.
we need to go and ski one day together.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Multi-cleats.
You need to some of the line on Cypress.
Yeah, well, I got some good lines to show you there. It's so good. It's just, I made a video with Wade years ago called the Chute, and we rode Cypress in the snow up high, and then we rode the lower mountain we rode downhill bikes actually, and it was a cool video. Just and then we were splicing it back and forth with like carving a line in the snow, carving a line on the bike, doing a drop on the board, doing a drop on the bike, and it actually turned out quite good. It was fun to do, but I'd love to do a video with you actually mixing some snow. But you're a skier, I'm a boarder, so that'd be cool to mix it together and then do some biking too. Yeah, we'll put that on the back burner. No, speaking about racing, you've done lots of racing. You've done like lots of the Wednesdays at Whistler, and you and Kovarik have had some battles as well as some other riders up there, and you've done some urban riding. Um, you've won a few of them down in South America and whatnot. Um, you're a free rider and you're a fast rider, obviously, and you've done some successful races. But your sponsors really don't want you to race. But have people pressured you to do more racing, and how have you dealt with that?
No, like I guess I wanted to do more racing at first, and then I realized that most of the tracks I didn't love them. I didn't. It's sort of, I feel like I ride well if I have fun.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
And sometimes you go to a race and it's just one track, And, if you don't really like it, if you don't really have fun doing it, then I felt like I will not go fast on it. And I also realized like it's just, you don't ride enough. You travel sometimes, across the continent to do 8 laps. And it was just not worth it. Whereas when, doing videos and stuff like ice session, I actually spend more time on the bike and I feel I can actually progress a bit more as well because, sometimes I'll do same jumps like 10 times, even when I go with, my buddy Steve and Johan, and we just take a drop. I don't do it just once. I'm going to do it like until everyone is, okay, Remy, that's enough now. Because I'm going to do it like over and over and over so I can actually progress.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reason why I progressed when I got to Whistler is because like when I started to, to feel comfortable doing a scrub, I kept on doing it like every day, like, on every single jump, just so I could, actually understand what was happening and build experience and confidence and then, being dialed at it.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. You've never felt a temptation to try and qualify for a World Cup or a
I
race?
did I did a couple of World Cups and that just didn't work out. I guess like what was funny is that I felt very confident on the bike, on the trails I was riding Whistler, because that's all I was riding. But the trails are like quite slow and they're quite tight. Samurai Pizza Cat, Ninja Cougar, it's actually pretty slow trails. But when the two World Cups I went to, the trails are, so fast. Like your speed is literally double. So I felt like I was doing a different sport.
Yeah.
I felt like the difference was like enduro moto on like tight single track versus like motocross on like a super wide, super fast track.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to me, that was two different sports. And I guess I didn't adapt. I didn't have enough experience. I feel like I could. I feel like I have the skills required to qualify. But just like I didn't spend enough time like riding that kind of trail where you go really fast.
That fast.
So
Yeah.
I love the slow technical section, but the actual super fast stuff, I wasn't very comfortable doing that.
Yeah. And didn't I read something about like you went and you were like riding well, but you got some serious arm pump or something, so you couldn't ride as well as you wanted to ride.
Yeah, so I got like on my both arms actually. I don't know if you can even see. Like here and here, I've got two scars
Yeah.
from compartment syndrome.
Yeah.
So I had compartment syndrome on both arms. So basically, your muscle pump up during the effort, and then you can't move your hands anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so basically, what they do is that they slice the muscle to let it some space so it can grow a little. And I got that done, but that did absolutely nothing that I've noticed, and it sucks because but at the end of the day, like I'm super happy doing what I do.
Yeah. 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 Why would you want to do
Even
anything
if
than what you want to do?
even if I did qualify for a World Cup, I don't think it's something I would have done for a long time.
Yeah. You're a free rider, man.
Free rider. I don't
Yeah.
like to be told, what track to ride. I like to pick up what I want.
Yeah. 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 No, me as well. I've never been fast, so I don't really know, but I've just always just loved free riding, anyways. But you know, not out for a good time, out for a good time. It's a little bit of a difference.
Exactly.
Not out for a fast time, out for a good time.
No
Well,
matter.
yeah, that's awesome. Remy, you're one of my favorite riders to watch. You're one of those guys when I see your name in the video, I watch it. Like Dorflean's one of them, Aggie's one of them. You're one of those ones where I just automatically just watch right away. So, it's a pleasure
Thank you.
to hang out with you, and I look forward to doing some filming with you and doing some riding and some skiing, and we got to do some shredding. So
Yeah.
I look forward to that.
I'll message you. We'll go. You'll take me to Cyprus. I'll take you to Squamish. Well, you
Okay.
know Squamish, but
Yeah, yeah.
I'll show you some of the sneaky lines and especially that new trails by my place.
Oh yeah, it's rowdy, eh?
That'll be good. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
cool.
gonna like it. And yeah, look forward to riding with you.
Yeah, I look forward to it too, man. Thanks for being on my podcast. Say goodbye, everybody.
Thanks for having me and see you soon.
Awesome, right on. This has been Rémy Métailler here on the Brett TV podcast. Hello and goodbye and signing out. Thanks very much, Remy.
Yeah.
Right on.